Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. Oh my gosh, look at that panel of Batman. You have the absolute, you have the deluxe. DC Comics firing on all cylinders. Look, up in the... I'm not gonna even finish that. You already know what I'm going to say. I am the Uncanny Omar, and you are watching Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. Today, I'm going to be giving you my overview of the Superman Up in the Sky Deluxe Edition Hardcover from DC Comics. So, let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So here we have the latest deluxe edition from DC Comics, Superman Up in the Sky. The deluxe edition, Tom King, Andy Kubert, Sandra Hope, Brad Anderson taking the top billing, and then the DC logo down there. The spine of the book, Superman Up in the Sky. The deluxe edition, King, Kubert, Hope, and Anderson. DC Bullet logo, and then the back, another piece or another 2 frames from inside the book by Andy Kubert. This book has been previously released in a trade paperback. There was a standard size hardcover that came out actually not soon after the book was released in single edition. Has that interesting design on the spine, and then of course it's smaller than the deluxe edition. And one more thing, wanted to come back here because you can see the ISBN. How far will the Man of Steel go to save one life? And that's what the premise of this is. The retail price of the book is $34.99, and I'll do a comparison to the standard size hardcover. But first, oh, that beautiful image. Let's look at these flaps here. Even Superman can't save everyone, but he can still try. And then the bio on Tom King and Andy Kubert. And this piece right here, the spine of the book looking very much like the spine here, with the exception of the stars are now down there at the bottom too, that pattern of the stars. And then this piece of Superman saving Lois Lane. Now I think these are just inked by Andy and not Sandra Hope. I think they're just colored by Anderson. Sandra Hope inks the inside of the book. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open this up and talk about the story in here. Look at this artwork, look at the extras, and do a quick comparison to the standard size hardcover. All right, let's go ahead and crack this open. You have the stars here as your end sheets, which makes sense for the type of story this is. Superman Up in the Sky, the deluxe edition. Superman Up in the Sky, the deluxe edition, Tom King, Andy Kubert, and Sandra Hope, Brad Anderson, and Clayton Cowles, and this amazing picture of Superman. And your introduction here, talking about the honesty behind writing a character like Superman, and how it was giving to Tom King the opportunity to write in a very interesting way. So this, first of all, was a series that came out at Walmart, and Bendis was writing Superman, I think, and Tom King was writing Batman at the time. So the editors decided, hey, why don't we do a switcheroo, and you go write Superman, and Bendis can write a Batman story. And that's kind of how this came to be, especially when he found out he was going to be teamed up with Andy Kubert. And they kind of had to keep it a little bit like all ages. I want to say, I don't think this is all ages, especially with the subject matter here in a little bit that I'm going to talk about. It doesn't say. Maybe older teens. All right. So what is going on? Clark, I need you. A call from Batman comes in. So collected in here, Superman Up in the Sky, 1 through 6. You did not see a cover. That is correct. You didn't see a cover because, again, this is the stuff that came out at Walmart, so it was collected with like 100 pages of other stuff, if you will. But Superman is called by Batman to come and help out with a case. So there's a small girl at the hospital, and as it turns out, her parents were murdered along with 2 other siblings, and she's the one that lived, and her sister Alice has gone missing. So the foster parents and the 2 siblings are dead. She's at the hospital. They don't know if she's going to make it or not. And she's asking Superman to go and find her sister Alice. And he's like, where did the kidnapper take her? And she says, up in the sky. So in here, Superman kind of asks the question, what is the value of someone's life? And is one person more important than the millions of other people that he could be saving during this time? So he goes to Perry's office and tries to take some time off to go and investigate this case. He meets with the Justice League, and he has kind of like I guess a little bit of a crisis of conscience, like, wondering that very same question, like, should I go and save this girl? This girl had a doll of Superman because Superman's her favorite. And he goes and talks to the Justice League. He thinks about it while fighting villains. He goes and talks to the people closest to him, like his parents, right? And he tells Lois that he is going to leave. He is going to. Because he finds out, unfortunately, that the young girl that he met at the hospital passed away. And now her sister is out there lost, kidnapped by somebody, some alien, something took her. So, Up in the Sky is exactly that. This is a journey of Superman looking for this young girl, Alice, that is somewhere out there. And he just has small little clues as to where she is. The clues take him over to Ran, where he talks about the Zeta Beam and how the Zeta Beam, it could have been a bootleg Zeta Beam that somebody is using. So they put him up to this machine knowing that it could have some side effects. And one of the side effects that he starts having is a flashback. And you're going to be seeing a lot of that through here. It's this memory of this young boy who is dressed like Superman. And he's saying, it's a bird, it's a plane, and he jumps off the house, the roof of the house, and just gets a lot of injuries. And he doesn't know how to react to that. So at one point, he thinks about stopping being a superhero, that he doesn't deserve to be a superhero if he's going to cause that much pain and anguish. And it is Wonder Woman, of all people, to tell him that, no, you got to keep fighting because this is the good fight. Now, this Zeta Beam also gives him a vision of this young girl, of Alice, and where she is. And, she's kind of questioning whether he's going to be able to find her or not. Now, she's not really here. He's just having visions of her. And through these visions, he finds out that she is in the Bode Galaxy, and that's where this book really begins. Remember when I said the stars? This book is really not this... Okay, it is a little bit of the journey of Superman trying to find this young girl named Alice, but it is really kind of your story of the... very similar to what Grant Morrison did in the pages of All-Star Superman with the Labors of Hercules. It's a character study on Superman, and it's all about his will and the tenacity that he has, this determination that drives him to be better and to not give up, even though the circumstances are completely hopeless. So, for example, this part right here, it kicks off with his fight against Mido. Mido knows who the kidnappers are, but he tells him if Superman wins, he would let him know who the kidnappers are. But Superman has to be depowered in order to fight him. So it's stories like that you're going to be seeing through here. And not just focusing on space. It's an awesome image, by the way. But also focusing on the things in space, what's going on Earth, who really has this young girl. And also, like, this right here, the many deaths of Lois Lane, is where he is thinking about what's going on to Lois, like, while he's away. Because these thoughts do come, like, she's getting shot by Lex Luthor. She's falling on this plane, and she's going to explode along with everybody else. All the other passengers are going to die. She's going to be killed by the Joker. All these horrible things that have haunted him since, starting this relationship with this young reporter are coming now as forms of visions, and he doesn't know what's real or not. So it's one of those things, like, the mind is playing tricks on him, and how does he go about fighting it off? There's flashback stories. There's stories in here about the race with the Flash. As a matter of fact, it's a really cool way of doing it. Like, you have a young Alice talking about, yes, right here, telling the story of how Superman raced the Flash and how he was about to lose. You have the story of the team up with Sergeant Rock through here with this has got to be amazing because we're talking about Andy Kubert drawing this because his dad, Joe, was the artist of Sergeant Fury. When you think of Sergeant Fury, you can't help but think of Joe Kubert's artwork on here. And it's amazing to come full circle, and Andy is now the artist on this book. And, of course, what will happen? Will Superman actually make it up there? Will he be able to rescue this young girl from whatever aliens, whatever is holding her? So it's, to me, a wonderful just character study on Superman and why he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest superhero, not just the DC Comics, but in comics in general, because he's so important to everybody, right? If he is truly the greatest of all action heroes, he's not going to let anything get in the way, including making a deal with the devil. Because there is a wonderful moment in here where he has pinned down where this girl could be, but the location is known to Darkseid. So he makes a deal with Darkseid, or does he, in order to find her location. And this deal is not an easy deal for someone like Superman to make. Superman has to go and kill somebody. And it's stories like that that make this such a unique and amazing work of art. And to me, I think, I just reread this. By the way, it's a pretty quick read. It's not, I know people see this and they're like, oh my gosh, that's wordy, but it actually makes sense in the context of the story. It's easy to follow. It's not that hard to read, compared to things like the Silver Age, of course, right? Like when you have a lot of dialogue in the Silver Age, sometimes it becomes redundant because you're looking at the art. But anyway, my point is, it is a pretty quick read. And rereading it this time, I haven't read it since I got this collection. I don't think I liked it as much when it came out. I'm in a different point in my life now. I think this came out, the original collection, I want to say back in 2020 is when it came out. Maybe 2021, when the original the hardcover had to come out in 2020. And then the trade paperback came out about a year later. I think I'm just in a different point in my life where stories where I need stories of hope, where the willingness to not give up is there. So, I think this is one of the best Superman stories. I don't know why I didn't like it as much the first time around. I kind of want to bring it to old reader, new reader to see what my co-hosts think about this book, too. It's a good thing it just came out because I think this is another book that you could give somebody new to reading Superman. Because this gives you everything you need to know. Very similar to something like All-Star Superman, which is why I compared it to the labors of Hercules, right? That he's going through all these different missions. Very reminiscent for older readers, too, if you like stories like the Warbound Saga, or the Warlord Saga, sorry, not Warbound, or the Exile classic story where he just goes through space. I like stories like that, where he's not in Metropolis, where he's traveling through space, seeing different aliens, and having to defeat them in different ways, right? Not just punching things out, the easy way out, but really putting a lot of thought into how to not just defeat the villain, but also almost living by example, if you will. Really enjoyed it this time. All right, let's look at extras, because this book has 192 pages, while the original printing had 176. So it does have a little bit of extras, and it's mainly all the way back here. Nothing added to the story, and nothing really added to the covers. But here are the covers of Up in the Sky. Oh man, I forgot to talk about that really pretty ending. Sure, some people may think it's a little too heavy-handed and in your face, especially with the title. I like it. Man, you get it. And then maybe it's because I got kids and I'm missing that age when my kids were a lot younger and a lot more relying on me to be the Superman and less of a flawed human being. And you have this article right here, You'll Believe a Man Can Fly. Interior pages selected by Andy Kubert and then Sandra Hope, kind of breaking down what each of these are. So this is the stuff that was not really collected in the original hardcover trade paperback. That's the extras that you're going to be getting in here. And then the cover here to the new deluxe edition. And then the bio on Tom King, Andy Kubert, Sandra Hope, and Brad Anderson, your end sheets. Now, 192 pages. It is sewn binding, but it does have some excess glue there. So let's actually see the way that it lays over. I think it actually lays over really nice. It is printed in this glossy paper stock, so seems like they're getting back to the glossier paper stock with a little bit of bleed through. Not too bad, but they're not using that satin paper, at least for the few releases that I've seen recently. But what I want to do is compare it to the, this edition. I want to see these pages here, these action pages, if you will. This fight with, that blue tone right there. To kind of compare the colors, because this is like a matte paper stock, and this, again, glossy paper stock. And of course, the difference being also the size, right? This is bigger. This is deluxe edition. It's a little lighter in tone, as opposed to this. This actually has more of like a reddish finish to it. I'm not sure if that catches on camera or not, than this does. It's crazy to think about these, were Walmart comics. I wish they would do that, or a similar project to that again. And then this really pretty page right here where he's talking to Alice, and she's like, "Are you gonna come?" And he's practically like, "Yeah, you're damn right I am. I'm Superman." All right, there we go. And yeah, lots of homages here to like Silver Age and even Golden Age stories, and not just Superman stories. But that is it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this deluxe edition, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this deluxe edition, and a quick comparison, of course, to the standard size hardcover that came out a few years ago. If you have any questions, leave those down below. Let me know what your favorite Superman story is that you recommend to people. I know I've done a video on the channel, I know I've done a video on TikTok, but I am always curious what everybody's favorite Superman story is to recommend to new readers. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.